Good afternoon, everybody. At the outset, I thank the organizers for having me amidst a galaxy of educational leaders. Archana ma'am and Dr. Singh have been following up with me. Having listened to the minister, who seems to have a gift of gab and would contextualize almost everything, a real teacher in him, Dr. Bahra and other speakers, I feel that the topic assigned this afternoon is huge, and I only hope that I can remain contextual and do not deviate in the limited time given to me, which has been curtailed from 45 minutes to 15 minutes. And this one reason I don't come with PowerPoint presentations and scribble some notes. Change as I want, and I was telling ma'am that I can speak from 5 minutes to 60 minutes, tell me the requirement. I must put certain conditions. Whatever I say, that should be taken coming from a person who has established or headed about 5 universities and going back to one of my previous universities now. Coming from someone who owns a small school in rural Rajasthan and not in any of the big cities you come from, or the district, not even district headquarters, it's a pure small village. It should be taken from someone who has seen 3 of his kids going through the process of schooling. The third one is in class 11th now, so I'm facing it every day. It should be taken coming from someone who had seen education system evolving and never going through one in a formal setup. I was not that fortunate who could go to a regular college after my class 11. And if nothing convinces you, take it from an onlooker or a bystander who is seeing everything happening around it. When I trace the education system, and by the way, till now I am perhaps the odd man out who comes from university system, but believe me, in last 1 year I have trained about 1600 teachers from Himachal, Punjab and J&K. I have been to schools of Archana ma'am, I have school to Dr. Singh, and they put together teachers from about 15 schools each time. And this is how 1 year has passed by. And I have a fairly good understanding of the school system. I've been to Anirudh's school in Firozpur, and many others, of course, in NCR, Delhi and Haryana. So I will try to remain relevant to schools as I speak from the viewpoint of a university Vice Chancellor. I have only 5-6 quick points to make, and that would be deliberated subsequently. According to me, the role of teacher as we move from our own school days to today had changed in the sense we are no more in the role of a mediator who redistributes knowledge. I remember as a school kid, my teacher used to stand before me with 2 books covered with old dilapidated newspaper, never knew what these books contained, and used to believe that whatever he is speaking is coming from him. And I never knew that one book had the question and second book had the answers written by somebody else. Today, we as teachers and principals have to become generators of knowledge and are in the role of giving multiple perspectives rather than distributing simply knowledge. And it is so quickly happening that by the time we reach home and we don't update ourselves, we become redundant. It's that fast. The second challenge for academic leaders and honors, of course, equally, they of course differ slightly, I'll try to highlight that in any institution we are dealing with people from 4 distinct generations. I call them 4G. Even mobile connectivity have reached this stage. The first generation which you deal with is the age of baby boomers. They could be principals, they could be perhaps the honors, advisors, trustees, in different roles they are present in a school system. And those who were born before 1964, I keep it 1964 because I was born in that year. So I definitely want to be in the next category. The second generation is of X generation known as, then 1985 onwards we have Y generation, and the students and the children we deal with I call them belonging to the generations called a designer baby age. I'm sure each one of you is aware that today, with the available technology, we can design a baby before it is conceived through artificial and natural genes. It is that age of people we are having in front of us as students. I think the biggest challenge today is to lead people from these four distinct generations. And it is no easy task, with social activism coming to the surface, with everyone preferring private schools and still criticizing private schools, nobody wanting to go to government schools and still idealizing the government schools in terms of policy documents. It's a dichotomy we all have to really work hard to resolve. The third point I have to make is, I often say, if human beings are multidisciplinary, why should education be single discipline? Why do you believe that everything is only limited to physics, chemistry and maths, and there's no life beyond this? It seems to me that every parent and teacher wants that, let's make our students engineer and then we'll decide what to do in life. This, according to me, is one of the biggest problems of education system, whereas we should be teaching our students in an environment of interdisciplinary learning or transdisciplinary learning, which also brings them close to real life and to a large extent can remove the problem or the noise about unemployability which we're talking about today. And some of the organizations who are basically into technology vending have gone to the extent of saying that today only about 4 to 5% of our graduates are employable. According to me, it is atrocious, according to me, it is unjustified, and some kind of crime against teachers as a community is being created in the environment. Things are bad, but believe me, not so bad. Everyone, irrespective of the profession you belong to, is a human being. Since morning, a lot has been said how education should change. But believe me, nobody in concrete terms discussed how value education, which was made mandatory by CBSE in 1990s, is being delivered in the schools. Nobody talked about it. Value education cannot be taught by reading out certain contents from a book designed by NCERT or some X, Y, or Z. It has to be practiced. The spate of events which I've seen in the recent past, I must cite an example which I faced in the month of September. And this was a few days after a 6th class girl was raped in Kendriya Vidyalaya in Jodhpur. It was a few days after a 3-year-old girl was raped in Delhi, if I remember the city correctly. I was to inaugurate the Indian Youth Parliament in Jaipur. And the session I was moderating had distinguished speakers, Madam Vrinda Karat, the Speaker of J&K Assembly, and Director General of a government institution in Delhi. While we were talking, and believe me, the 500 audience ranged from school kids to PhD scholars and teachers from all over the country. One girl from a leading school in Jaipur got up and stopped me, class 11 girl. Almost in tears, with throat choked, and said, "Sir, you belong to education, I need some answers from you." Whenever a woman or a girl is raped in this country, people get up and say, "You don't wear proper clothes, so you get raped." The father of a 3-year-old girl is asking, "How do I teach my 3-year-old daughter to wear a sari?" Where is the answer in school education? Where is the answer in university education that these things are happening? My own answer to this, and many of you may not agree, I may sound harsh, my advance apologies. Aren't we all responsible as teachers and parents and owners equally? I am included. We have taken our kids away from education and to training and coaching. It's so early that class 6th onwards, I start preparing them for IIT JEE. That's not life. We're taking away life from the kids. And if you go around the schools in Chandigarh or even bigger cities, I was trying to find a school for my daughter. Believe me, most of the science schools, I'm not saying all, most of the science schools didn't have classes going on. These classes have been hijacked by the coaching centers. Where are the values being inculcated? Physics, chemistry, science do not inculcate values. I understand scientific temple development is extremely important to everyone. But we need to teach them life, we need to teach them humanity, we need to teach them psychology. As you enter 9th class, you debar students as parents participating in almost all the events, any sports activity. Where is the character building? I think the real answer lies that when we will start imparting our children education and not restrict it to coaching and training, because education and coaching and training on the other hand have different meanings. Education is for life, coaching and training are for a specific purpose, and that cannot be prolonged beyond a point. Today in the school system, it's prolonging from 5 to 6 years when we take away our children from character building. If we can resolve the single most important reason, according to me, all these events can be definitely contained. I'm not saying they can be eliminated. And this question of this girl still resounds in my mind day and night, that what's the answer to this? Where are we taking our society? Believe me, ladies and gentlemen, if each one of us can say that the skills required to bridge the gap of employability can be integrated with our teaching, we can do with coaching. The business in 2015 in India, class 7 to 10th, was $50 billion from coaching in Indian markets. It's atrocious. If these facilities can be provided in the schools, Professor Bala Subramaniam is here, there are many others who can really influence. The honor sitting here. A few months ago, CBSE schools thought of raising the fees in Delhi. Parents, the associations, and opposition parties went on the roads, opposing that the school's cognition should be taken away. They're looting the people. And the same evening, those parents signed a check of 3 lakhs for a coaching center. It's an irony. We need to resolve this irony, because, and irony still can be taken further. All those people, they say, no, we want to send our kids only and only in the private schools and not the government schools. There seems to be notion, and the only answer lies is that education is being politicized, and academic issue is being turned into a political issue. The fourth point is we need to collaborate among schools. I found a tendency among private schools as well as private universities or government universities. Government institutions have almost vanished from these kind of platforms now. I remember 2003, I was in a panel on quality conducted by Quality Council of India. Later I worked as Vice Chairman of Quality Committee. I was the only one representing private institutions. There were 5 from the government. And naturally, if you are the only one, you will get last chance to speak, and only 3 minutes were left. They said, Professor, you have 3 minutes, please wind up. And I made one point that time, which is still cited. I said it was purely relevant to higher education, but I must cite it. I said, AICTE approved institutions, if they get accreditation from National Board of Accreditation, it's no big deal. Because NBA is owned by AICTE. There's a conflict of interest. If you give approval, how can you deny accreditation to this? And this was cited in the newspapers. In those 3 minutes, this is the only point I made. And for 5 years, NBA was absolutely inactive and came in its new avatar as fully autonomous body. And today, accreditation has some meaning. In that, if I see that 5 from government and 1 from private, today it has reversed, rather government has become 0. I understand these kind of platforms invite most of the private schools. We need to collaborate and not compete. My own view is that if I found something innovative, if I share it with everybody, it helps education improve, and also it compels me to innovate further. I do not remain with one innovation for long, because no innovation is sustainable. We don't have to collaborate with coaching centers and say, come and conduct my 11th and 12th class in the school premises itself. Don't circumvent the regulations. And that's where I say, it depends on the principal, the leaders, the owners, and the teachers, and no one else. No policy making is required for this. Point number 5, I think it has also been made clearly outlined by many of the speakers. We need to shift learning outside the class. Today, in the audience, I have a dean. My daughter goes to class 11th Commerce, and I admire one activity where the children run an actual company, the commerce students. They have learned certain things. My daughter questions me on things, believe me, which I learned in my master's and CFA program. She talks about merchant banking. She talks about how to price and equity share of a company. She talks about articles of association of a when you establish a company. She talks about HR policies. A class 11 school student. They work on Saturday, they work on Sunday, they go and sell products in the market. I'm amazed. This is not happening even in higher education. So what I must say is that schools are changing, but more need to follow this suit. The only point which Mr. Bahra was making is that CBSE doesn't enter your classroom, but CBSE examines you. Till today, I have not been able to understand why CCA was rolled back. Was it incompetence in implementing by the CBSE and the principals and the teachers? Or there was some logical reason? According to me, that was futuristic. We've taken our school system 10 years back. I still don't understand why 4-year undergrad program was taken back in Delhi University. They took university 30 years back. All futuristic systems are stifled. We need to overcome the stifling process of innovative systems. And the sixth point and the last point from my side is we need to keep experimenting and innovating. As I mentioned, no innovation is relevant forever. We need to keep on doing it continuously and start implementing things and take responsibility. A couple of examples I would like to cite. I was heading one of the institutions before I became Vice Chancellor, which was about 10 years ago. One day, a student says, "Sir, my mom wants to meet you." As is my habit, I welcomed her. I got up from my sheet, welcomed her, spent 45 minutes, offered a cup of tea, and she discussed some problems with me. "Sir, he's not feeling well, he's falling short of attendance." I said, "Don't worry, what's possible will be taken care of." She left, I left her at the gate. 10 students from his class came to me and said, "Sir, you met so-and-so's mother?" I said, "Yes. I think he has some health problems," he discussed with me. You know what these students told me? "But sir, she was not his mom." I said, "Then who was she?" No, he rented a mom." I said, "Moms can be rented?" He said, "But he didn't." Anyways, I was very furious, I didn't know where to hide my face. I called up the parents, took number from the file maintained with the institute, and I talked to his father. I said, "Sir, tomorrow if you can come, you and your wife, I'd like to meet you briefly." He said, "Sir, what happened? Something?" I said, "Come on, don't worry, nothing serious. Come and we'll discuss." So as they came, I told the students to stand at the back. And I told them the entire story what he did yesterday. Because he did not tell you in any case, I said. And I still remember the faces of mom and dad. The father said, "Sir, how did she look like?" And the lady was hiding her face. I said, "I can't tell you she was looking beautiful, your wife will feel envious, and if I say she was looking ugly, you will feel bad about it." And you know what happened? I found later on that she was one of his class 12 teachers who tried to hide something he had done and accompanied him. It's a real life example, I'm telling you. They may be in isolation, but believe me, they have long-term impact. Today, as teachers, not only should take on to ourselves to continuously innovate, but also see that how value education is being implemented is the most important point I have, apart from coaching. How many of you have really read the books, despite having libraries, having huge number of books? How many of you have read Divaswapna and Toto Chan? As teachers, can we really become complete teachers without reading these books, online or otherwise, Hindi or English? I recommend that these two books should be made absolutely mandatory for anybody to qualify to work as a teacher. Believe me, the school I established in 2014, we started class 7, that's on to 10th. The biggest challenge was parents. And remember, I am operating from an area where they don't know proper Hindi. They either know local dialect or they speak fluent English. Now the complaint from the parents is that they don't know how to write Hindi. And this is a challenge I am struggling today. It's the parents who didn't believe us for 6 months and they said, "We will take away all our kids if you don't change your ways." I called them for a meeting during the vacation. And I said, "Please give us a couple of more months and then take away, I'll refund your entire fees and do whatever you like." 2 months later, things changed and they started saying why this system was not there earlier. Today, the school from a small village a girl who is being taught free because parents never wanted her to go to school. We went and picked up this girl from a village with the help of Panchayat, who scores 100 rank international in English Olympiad. There are kids who stand and speak in front of 1,500 kids and deliver an English talk in a district level event. I'm not boasting here of speaking English, I'm perhaps boasting of confidence and the communication skills. They can equally speak in Hindi also. So English should not be taken as something which I'm trying to emphasize. My last point at the end, it's the leaders and more to the owners. And I don't want to offend anyone. I came to Punjab for the first time 2 years ago. Although I had attended university in Rajasthan, Madhya Pradesh, Haryana and UP, and of course Delhi. This label of master should be taken away from the teachers. I've seen if somebody completes PhD, they are ridiculed. While I hold teachers responsible for this, but I appeal with folded hands to the academic administrators and the honors not to ridicule. I would rather appeal to them, give that confidence to the teachers that they can do better what parents want them to do. Who says I can't teach communication skills while teaching accounts? Why do you need a coaching center for this? Who says I can't teach physics and chemistry in the way coaching centers teach? We talked about upgradation of skills. How many owners have really given time for their school teachers to train themselves? And finally, I would say, each one of you, and particularly the organization which is organizing this seminar, should look beyond big cities. The real education is there. Remember when I selected 10 teachers, I met 200. 80% did not know which college they did their B.Ed from. That's the condition of B.Ed. Today, the condition is, even if it goes to CBSE, I don't care. I keep a different file for CBSE and different set of teachers to really teach, because the qualified ones are not educated enough. It's only then we are able to achieve the standards of education which can solve the problems which I'm talking about today. Otherwise, it's extremely difficult to overcome the problems which we talked about. Today, if you want to collaborate with the schools. If you want to collaborate with co-teachers in other schools. If you want to collaborate with the future. Tell your students how to understand Internet of Things and business analytics and artificial intelligence. And I'm sure everybody uses Google Maps today. That every minute how changes position we found